The unluckiest person I've ever met. Growing up, I remember hearing about people with naturally bad luck. As I got older, I just attributed that to a series of unfortunate events, or maybe just poor conduct in your adult life that lead to these situations. It wasn't until I met a previous coworker that I will call Dave. I met Dave at a previous shop I worked at. When I first met him, I was told, dude always has crazy stories. Don't buy anything he says. And at first, I didn't. But I ended up training him in my department and working side by side a lot. Got to know him pretty well. I met his wife and kids, etc., etc. Dave always had something wild happening in his life. Some legal stuff. Missed a day of work because a car tire exploded. Something crazy with the family. And at first, it seemed like just wild excuses. Even the minor complaints seemed constant. But as I got to know him, became friends with him, and had met his family and people that could corroborate the things he said, it became more apparent that this guy was just wrought with bad luck. Some of the situations Dave had experienced. Dave's father died, and he had inherited the house. Was living there and paying the mortgage. 3 months later, the bank took the house from him because of some paperwork mishap, and he couldn't fight it because it wasn't his house. In that time, he was in the process of having the kitchen remodeled. Dave still had to pay for a kitchen he never got to use. Dave's license got suspended, and he didn't know about it after he bought a new car 8 months later. He couldn't afford to fight it, so he just paid the fine, took the probation, and took the class to get it back. A year later, the state acknowledged their mistake, but said there was nothing to be done because he already accepted fault. Dave went out on paternity leave. He was renting due to the previous housing issue. While on paternity leave, his stove went at the end of October. 2 weeks later, the AC went. Took 3 weeks to fix the AC, but by then it was cold enough for the furnace. The furnace failed the first week of December. The landlord then redrafted the lease for appliance repairs to be on the person leasing. A week later, the dishwasher went and the furnace failed again. Cost him $2,400 between the two. Dave came back from paternity leave to find that he was moved to a different department and wasn't getting a raise. He was the only person on the floor out of roughly 120 people to not get the yearly raise. 3 weeks after being back at work, Dave got the flu. The whole house got the flu. Dave missed a whole week of work. Was back at work for 1 day. Came down with a stomach bug. It was norovirus. Whole house got norovirus in the week following. He missed another week. Dave had used all his sick time and 3/4 his vacation within the first month of being back from paternity leave. In the month following, Dave had broken his toe, sprained his ankle, had to leave work because his wife's car broke down on the highway. On his way there, his left front tire came off because the hub bearing failed. His car was considered a total loss. He missed another 4 days of work before he found another car. Dave ended up getting let go a few weeks later due to performance issues. While I understand the company's policies on attendance and such, dude was just bullied by life on the regular. I write this story because I ran into Dave a few days ago. It's been a little more than a year since we've worked together. And this is what has happened with Dave recently. Dave had another kid. The furnace failed again, the day he came back from paternity leave. His oldest was groped by another student at school, and she got suspended for defending herself. Dave got in a car accident. While in the hospital, he found out he has testicular cancer. He's 36. A week later, his dog died. He brought the dog to the vet. They said she wasn't actually dead, but they would monitor the dog overnight. He went to pick up the dog in the morning. The dog died on the way home. I don't know if there's a moral to this story, but it's a jarring example that some people just have bad luck. Follow for more.